March 10th, 2010, Fort George G. Meade, Maryland. Detective Stan Hemsworth was searching the secluded woods with freshly melted snow. He was on the trail of a man presumed to be missing, or perhaps worse.
I didn't know what I was walking into at that point. Was it a kidnapping, a homicide?
He searched for hours, only to find no trace of the missing person. Until he spotted something floating in a creek. It was an alarming discovery. The discovery raised more questions than it answered. Were these the remains of the man people were looking for? Who could be responsible for such a crime? The search for answers would unveil a shocking tale of deception and greed, and put the police on the trail for the suspect no one saw coming. In 2006, 16-year-old Mandy Sullivan was a simple girl growing up in a middle-class neighborhood. She was confused and looking for answers. All that changed when she met Mickey Smith. Smith was a wealthy entrepreneur with a lavish lifestyle. That didn't matter to Mandy. They had a deep connection right away. They married, and Mandy found herself living a life of luxury. Everything seemed to be looking up for the couple, until the spring of 2007, when Mickey drowned in a tragic accident. His body was not recovered. However, there was some consolation for Mandy in the form of a large inheritance. Mandy became lonely and depressed, and she seemed to be headed down a path of self-destruction, until she met a musician named James Johnson in the fall of that same year. Johnson had dreams of becoming a professional musician. He played guitar in the local bar and nightclub scene and earned the reputation of being the best songwriter in town. With his talent and local celebrity status, James had attracted several groupies. Mandy became infatuated with James, and they hit it off immediately. Romance ensued, and a serious relationship was born seemingly overnight. There was even talk of marriage, but James was not entirely comfortable with settling down and began having an affair with another woman.
Well, James's bandmates called and could not find James. It was out of the ordinary for him to not be at the band's Tuesday night practice, which raised alarms with friends and family. His last known whereabouts were with his girlfriend, Mandy. We put out an APB for Mandy, but there was nothing that could link her to the disappearance of James, so she was scratched off the suspect list. The case turned as cold as an icebox.
It wasn't until Detective Hemsworth made his gruesome discovery in 2010 that the case became thrust into the spotlight.
We did a thorough examination of the body, especially considering how terribly decomposed it was. We knew that finding the identity would prove to be a difficult task. One thing was certain though, the cause of death was definitely due to multiple stab wounds on the back and chest.
After several months, DNA test results returned a positive identification. The remains belonged to none other than Mickey Smith. When Mickey went missing, no one questioned Mandy's story that it was an accidental drowning. But with the evidence of stab wounds, investigators once again turned their attention toward Mandy.
I couldn't believe it. It was all right there. Every disgusting detail. How did we miss this before?
Mandy's diary detailed her account of killing Mickey Smith and dumping his lifeless body into the creek. But that wasn't everything. The diary also contained Mandy's detailed description of how she killed James Johnson. It was like a scene straight out of a movie.
We took her into custody immediately and charged her with 2 counts of first-degree murder. I'll never forget the feeling of relief that we had finally solved both of these cases.
Mandy broke down and confessed to both killings. It was a classic story of greed and betrayal. However, without a body to prove James' death, the jury was only able to find her guilty for the killing of Mickey Smith. Following a long trial, Mandy was sentenced to 50 years in prison in 2013. Update: Mandy Sullivan Smith escaped from the Maryland State Correctional Facility on March 4, 2015, killing one guard and critically injuring another in the process. She is still at large. Mandy is to be presumed armed and extremely dangerous. If you have any information regarding the whereabouts of Mandy Sullivan Smith, contact authorities immediately.